What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers still have some work to do to really carve out and round out their roster. Lakers are linked to various trades. We're still kind of waiting around, what's going to happen with that seven-teamer, at least at the time of recording this video. Maybe it's already happened at the time of you watching this video. We'll see. But regardless, no matter what happens, right, Lakers need to get some upgrades. Andrew Wiggins' price tag is too high. I'd love to have Andrew Wiggins and bring him in. Price tag is too high. If you're going to pony up what you have to pony up in order to get Andrew Wiggins, I'd rather you pivot and can you get a guy like Herb Jones, right? Herb Jones would be fantastic. He's younger. He gives you the same type of offensive and defensive versatility. He's 26. He'll be 27 at the start of next season, right? So he's a guy that could be a foundation piece. In a post-LeBron era, whether that's this season or next season or 2 years from now, you'd still have, depending on what they do with Austin Reeves, but let's assume they keep Austin Reeves, you'd at least have potentially DeAndre Ayton, Herb Jones, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic, right? You have that versatile, sizable 3-and-D wing alongside Luka and Austin Reeves, and then DeAndre Ayton as that versatile. You'd still be one of the best offensive teams in all of basketball, but now you have a sizable, versatile defensive piece that can slot in really 2 through 4 for you at any point if you need be, right? Like he's a guy that because he can shoot, spread the floor and all that stuff, he's not like a super elite three-point shooter, but he's good enough to where you need him to be. And he's had some great seasons and all that. I really like the idea of Herb Jones, especially like if you're going to give up, like let's say it's a first, Dalton Connect, Rui Hachimura, and whatever else, right? If you're going to have to give up whatever you have to give up, right, then it might, Andrew Wiggins does, like, he makes sense as far as fit, need, and what, the team lacks, right? So could you justify it? Sure. But that doesn't mean it's the right choice. That doesn't mean that it's something that the Lakers should necessarily do, overpay for a guy like Andrew Wiggins. Herb Jones, on the other hand, I think if you were to give up Dalton Connect the first and, Rui Hachimura, that to me makes more sense, right? Because you're getting a guy that one is just younger, but also will likely give you similar, if not maybe even more production than an Andrew Wiggins would give you. Now, Andrew Wiggins is the better kind of shot creator, right? He's the better scorer for sure, but a guy like a Herb Jones also just gives you a little more strength, a little more size, right? He's a guy that I think can give you a lot of the same things, but to me, it's just he's younger, he's versatile, right? He can knock down the three ball, he gives you the production. I just think if he's playing the right role and carved out the right role, he's a guy that could really do some damage. Not last year, where, look, the Pelicans' entire roster was like hurting all over the place, right? It's really hard to judge any of those players compared to last year. But you look at the previous year, from three-point range, he shot 42% on just under 4 attempts. If he could get back to that, then you're talking about a legit 3-and-D guy for the Lakers. He is a career 37% point-a-game guy, which is great, which is fine. Right? If he's playing defense, rebounding the basketball, doing the dirty work, being that guy out on the perimeter, and being able to knock down the three ball with some consistency, that would be great. Now, obviously, I'd love to get like a Trey Murphy. I think Trey Murphy would definitely cost more, where Herb Jones might not even start for the Pelicans next year just because of the way that their roster is kind of lined up. And Trey Murphy is so young for them. He was so good for them last year. One, I think it'd cost a lot more to get Trey Murphy. And two, you might be able to kind of convince, like, hey, this is better. Like, Herb Jones coming off the bench. And Herb, how long does he want to come off the bench for? Is he a guy that's going to be happy being the backup? And it's not because he ain't great. It's not because of anything. It's just kind of circumstances based on how their roster is shaped up, right? Somebody's got to come off the bench. They can't start 6 guys. And, Herb Jones, the Pelicans have several guys that kind of play that role, right? So it's just like, we might need to get off him. Also, he has 2 years left. This year he has basically $14 million. Next year he has just under $15 million, which, by the way, lines up with the Lakers' 2027 want to preserve cap space to go get that other star. Right? So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. But also, again, that could be an argument for the Pelicans where it's like, hey, you probably want to get off him at some point because you're going to have to give him a new contract or you're going to end up losing him for nothing later on down the pike. And, next offseason, Herb Jones would have a little more say, a little more kind of argument for the trade, but I do think he's a guy that could be obtainable. We know the Pelicans are open to basically trading anybody on the roster. Lakers are linked to Yves Missi as a guy that they're trying to acquire. Can you maybe land both, right? Can you maybe land Missi and a Herb Jones, right? This is just me. I know other people might disagree. If you told me we could get Yves Missi and Herb Jones, I would trade Austin Reeves. I would add, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, right? Go get Herb Jones and Eve Misi, especially if you can keep your first, right? Like, I think that's a great trade for, the Pelicans, right? They could always trade Austin Reeves if need be, right? Or maybe you're working on a third team and Austin Reeves is going somewhere and maybe the Pelicans are gaining assets, right? Like, what is Austin Reeves valued at with assets, right? Look at like Desmond Bane and what he got. You got to imagine Austin Reeves is similar in that area, in that ballpark, right? So could the Lakers maybe send Austin Reeves to a team that wants him and maybe he wants to go to, and then you land Eve Misi and Herb Jones? If I was the Lakers, I would do that personally. I don't know if the Lakers would do that, but I would do that. Because now, I mean, again, it gives you a legit 3-and-D win, and you have your first that you could then go maybe make another trade and go get another. Maybe you're taking that first and going and getting Andrew Wiggins. Because you still have Rui Hachimura, you still have Gabe Vincent, right? So maybe you're taking that first Rui and Gabe and then going and getting Andrew Wiggins. Imagine a starting five of Luka, Austin Reeves, Herb Jones, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. Like, that might be the best team in all of basketball, right? And then you'd still have depth and versatility and all this other stuff off the bench. Look, a girl can dream, right? But in all seriousness, I think Herb Jones is a guy that if the Lakers can go make a play for, I really do genuinely believe that the Lakers should go make a play for. But we'll see how it goes in that regard. But anyway, what does Herb Jones bring, right? What does he provide? Problem is, like I said, it's kind of hard to judge him off of last year. Really anybody on the Pelicans last year, because they were just decimated by injuries. They were like the most injury-riddled team, particularly to their starting players out of anybody. So he only played 20 games last year, started in all 20, played 32.4 minutes per game, got 8.6 field goal attempts per game, shot 43.6% from the field, 3-point range. As I mentioned, he did shoot an abysmal. Like, it was not great last year. Kind of want to go over the next year, but he shot 31% from 3-point range on 3.6 attempts. Not good. Like I said, how much of that was he was hurt, limited sample size, all of that, we'll see. I mean, that was by far his worst year, right? Like, I mean, by far. He's shot over the last, his entire career, he shot 34%, 34%, and then 42%, and then had last year in which he shot 31%. So I think that's more of an outlier than an actual thing. Plus, you got to keep in mind, a lot of those threes that he was taking, because they didn't have a point guard and DeJounte Murray and all this other stuff, a lot of those threes he was taking, contested or having to create for himself and stuff like that, where imagine him slotted alongside Luka, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves. He's just going to get better quality looks. He's going to get wide open looks. So I'm not saying he's necessarily going to shoot 41%, but could he be 37, 38% from 3-point range? I don't think that that's unrealistic to think that Herb Jones can be that when he's been a 41% 3-point shooter on the same volume as last year and was able to knock it down with some regularity. And he's just going to get much better quality of life playing alongside Luka and LeBron, especially with Ayton as the role man and all that stuff. Like, teams are going to be so distracted with that. Herb is going to be wide open all game. But 2-point range, shot 53% from 2-point range on 5 attempts, which was, again, the lowest of his career. EFG of 50%, which again was the lowest of his career. Free throw shooting, shot 82.5% on 2 attempts, grabbed 4 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2 steals, half a block, and 10.3 points per game. So a guy that, again, gets after it defensively, can just do multiple things out there on the basketball court. I want to talk about the previous year for him. Again, played in 76 games, started all 76 games. 30.5 minutes per game, took 7.7 attempts per game, shot 50% from the field, shot 42% from 3-point range on 3.6 attempts, which again is the same amount as last year, in which he shot 31%. He shot on 4.1 attempts from 2-point range, 56.8%, EFG of 59.5%. Free throw shooting was 86.7% on 2 attempts, grabbed just under 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, a full block, and 11 points per game. So had a much better season, right? Gave you the production, gave you basically everything that you wanted from a guy like Herb Jones. I really like the idea of Herb Jones. I think he's a guy that the Lakers should strongly consider in acquiring. I think he's a guy that, again, kind of solves the need. If you told me if you told me Andrew Wiggins or Herb Jones, I'd probably take Herb Jones regardless. But if you told me like, hey, you're going to have to pay a first, connect, and everything else for Herb Jones or Andrew Wiggins, I think to me it's a no-brainer at that point. You take Herb Jones. I think Herb Jones is like, it's not even a question at that point of who would you take. If I have to give up that kind of package, give me Herb Jones. Because, again, he's younger, he's just more versatile, kind of does all the same stuff you'd be looking for within Andrew Wiggins, but a guy that can just kind of plug in and provide what you'd be looking for the Lakers. So I really like the idea of Herb Jones. I think it's something that the Lakers should look at if you were to, again, pull off that type of trade. I think there's several options. I think the Lakers need to pivot to other options. Like a lot of the conversation, a lot of the talk has just been centered around Andrew Wiggins. Now, I still think Andrew Wiggins probably is most likely and ends up happening at some point. But even if it doesn't, right? Like again, that doesn't mean you have to wait and settle for Andrew Wiggins. Not just that, but if you can maybe get some negotiations with Herb Jones, right? Maybe you can go to Miami and be like, hey, just to let you know, we're gonna go and trade for Herb Jones, right? Unless you're willing to give Andrew Wiggins for the price they want, you might be able to kind of swing some leverage in your way of like, hey, look, we know what the Pelicans want for Herb. We're going to go pony up and get Herb unless you're willing to do the deal at the price that we want. Otherwise, keep Andrew Wiggins. Good luck to you. Maybe you could trade him elsewhere. Right? Maybe another team bites. Right? Maybe all of a sudden the Heat go, okay, like fine, we'll do it. Right? Or maybe meet in the middle and whatever. We'll see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.